comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Vixen and Blitzen and all his reindeer pulling on the reins. And that's all I'm going to do for that. But hello everybody, welcome back to Eggwars. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I know I had a very good Thanksgiving, and that's what I want to talk about today. I'm going to give you some thoughts on Thanksgiving and Black Friday, and I'm basically going to sound probably like an old man because I feel like the takes that I'm having on these things and some other related things are like old man status. That's how I'm feeling right now. But actually, before I crack that sip, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I greatly appreciate your viewership, and shout out to my three amigos, Arto, producer Chris, and my boy Jack Hinoff. Love y'all very, very much, and I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, but let's go ahead and crack that sip. First thing. Ooh. I feel like today's really going to be like, I'm just going to kind of be going off about shit with really no rhyme or reason, so I hope you like that. And I hope, hopefully after like 10 minutes, I'm not just sitting here like, oh shit, what am I going to talk about? But I don't think it's going to happen. I think I'll tap my abilities to try and make this good. Ooh, the carbonation hit. You know how that is. Also, alright, there's one thing we gotta address. Because it's gonna be at least a couple more days. And so I'll just address this right now, alright? Yes, I have a pimple on my face. And no, I do not have any diseases. As some have implied in the last couple years that I have diseases, I do not. You see, usually around this time of year, I have suddenly, within like a week's time of the first real cold weather, I have very, very bad chapped lips. And it's weird. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's like all of a sudden I'll just be like, my lip will get a little bit chapped and I'll just like lick it and kind of fidget with it and be like kind of irritated by it, which will just make it even more irritated. And so it's this vicious cycle, and it always happens like towards the end of like mid to end November every single year. And then by December, I remember that I need to wear chapstick or my lips get all chapped and gross. So today I did go and buy chapstick, but yes, unfortunately, yes, look at it. Look at my fucking zit. Yes, I have it. I'm sorry. I apologize if it's grotesque and it disgusts you, but it's, I'm sorry, okay? I forget every year. I swear to God, I forget every single year. It's never anything that's on my mind until the cold weather hits, and I'm like, oh shit. And also, when I went to the store today, I also bought deodorant because the last time I went to the store, which was a little bit before I broke my foot, I needed some deodorant then, and I happened to see some that was on clearance. It was 75% off, and it was this, I don't even remember who makes it, like Degree or something like that. It's this air spray deodorant. It's not like an Axe body spray, but it's like it's supposed to be like spray-on deodorant. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, never even tried that before, and I need some deodorant. It's really cheap. It's even cheaper than regular deodorant. So hell, you know, shit, it would normally be really expensive. So why not? I'm gonna treat myself to this fine technology, the finer things in life. You know, we all deserve to have some nice stuff, right? Yeah, you know, every time, you know, that's why people who eat at soup kitchens, they still got the new iPhone, and they still smoke a lot of crack. You know, it's like people, you know, you give and take. You know what I mean? And it's Thanksgiving. We're thankful for what we have, although this was last month. So anyways, I got this spray-on deodorant. I'm like thinking to myself, oh cool, you know, I wonder how it works. Ooh. And I tried some of this shit, and it was like, I don't even know if I used it before I broke my foot, because I swear to God, it was like the day before I broke my foot that I went and bought this stuff. But anyways, I got it, and I don't know if I'm using it wrong. I don't know. I shake it up, and I spray this deodorant on, and it works okay. Like, it doesn't work great. It's supposed to have like 48 hours protection. I don't know. I'm getting like not quite that much out of it. I mean, it works okay, but it has this horrible scent. Like, I actually have to fucking crack a window. Even if it's cold outside, I gotta open the window in my bathroom when I'm spraying this on. Otherwise, you'll gas yourself and choke yourself on this shit. So, I also went and got some deodorant at the store today. And yes, I was shopping on Black Friday with one leg. I was at Target, and I got the very last motor cart scooter thingy. I've never driven a scooter thingy in my life, alright? And I've had my foot broken for how many weeks now? Like 6 weeks? 7 weeks? 6 weeks? You know, however long? And I haven't driven anything yet. I've gone to, when I was at the airport, when I was flying out to see Sam, I was getting wheeled around. I just haven't really gone to the store that much. And so, But today I was like, oh shit, I gotta get some deodorant. What else? Oh yeah, chapstick. So I took the liberty upon myself to try that out today, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun. It was pretty wild, and I made like everybody get out of the lane because I was trying to scoot by everybody, and so there was all these fat people like hunched over their carts like this. They're like, "Hey, I think I see another sale. What's that?" And they're like all like diagonally, like one person's looking at this display, and there's like another couple looking at like this display. And it's like this huge thing, and so I'm going, and you got like a little horn on it. So I'm going on like me, and they're like, "Oh, he's trying to get through. Get out of the way." I felt powerful. I felt very accomplished, like, you know, like somebody, you know, I guess that's why people bully themselves online and all that shit. It's like when people feel like, you know, if you're like a cripple and you're no good and you're fucking lame, people are gonna like, you know, get out of your way, or I don't know, like try and, you know, watch how they're addressing you because they'll look like a bad person. So hey, that's probably why all these teenagers is an epidemic. I read that somewhere on a web. I don't really read internet news. I get, you know, I skim it a little bit with one of the archive sites, but speaking of all that shit, so I got blessed actually this Thanksgiving. I got blessed by a Thanksgiving miracle. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that. So Wednesday night, I did the song, which, you know, if you haven't heard it, I think it's some of my best work. It's been pretty well received. And also the other Eggwars video, and I started uploading those at like, fucking, I don't even remember what time. Well, it was like, I uploaded the song first. I did all the shit by like, you know, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. I had to get up by 10 for Thanksgiving, so I was like, well, I don't want to have to, you know, be low on sleep for Thanksgiving, so I want to make sure I'm going to bed on time. So I was getting it all up and everything, and I go lay down, and my phone battery had died, so I'm like, all right, well, I'll plug my phone in, and whatever, I'll get back to, you know, I'm just going to sit here and scroll on Twitter a little bit while I fall asleep, no big deal. So I had my phone, and as it happened, I had plugged my phone in, and it starts going all bonkers on me. It's all fucked up. Now, I mentioned this before, like in a week ago or something, you know, I've had the phone for 3 years. I've used it a lot over the last 3 years, so it's like, you know, I don't expect it to last forever. It's been dropped, you know, it's had shit happen to it. It's like, hey, you know what, that's just how it goes. So I'm like, well, and then lately the screen's been like kind of flickering weird. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, I'm just gonna keep using it, whatever. And then, you know, that Wednesday night or Thursday very early morning, it just shits out on me. I'm like, you know what, well, I gotta have a phone. You know, it's just something you gotta have these days in this current year. So I went and I ordered just a very cheap smartphone, just so I could get, you know, I gotta make sure I'm able to take calls and emails and stuff if I need to. So I'm like, not a big deal, you know, so whatever. And so because of this, you know, that's not gonna show up until this, like, next week. So it's like, well, I'm gonna go to Thanksgiving, I'm gonna be like not having a phone and none of that. And so I did all that. I went through Thanksgiving and everything, and now today, this afternoon, magically my phone started working again. So that's cool. That's great. But it also was I think I was blessed. You know, I think I was blessed that basically my phone forcefully deactivated itself pretty much for all Thanksgiving so I could get the full family experience. And, you know, and it was very nice because, I mean, you know, yeah, there was, you know, I have a lot of my siblings, obviously, cousins and stuff, my age and things of that nature. You know, and it was, you know, and I went to like numerous, you know, we went around to a couple different places, a couple different sets of relatives. So I saw, you know, a good amount of people, a lot of young people. And to be honest, like, everybody was pretty much off their phone. Now, you know, it's wild. I'm ashamed of myself. You know, I never had a smartphone. You know, all you kids nowadays, you're in high school, you got your phones in high school, you're fucking recording yourselves in school. Like, you know, we had, you know, the original iPhone, you know, that was like when I was like a sophomore or, well, yeah, when I was a sophomore, I think. But even then, like, people, you know, I didn't have any kind of cell phone, you know what I mean? Until I got my little Nokia phone, in case I needed to call my parents to pick me up from school or something like that, you know. But nowadays it's so wild, you know, I just can't even imagine it. But since I've gotten that phone, you know, it was, I might not be on Instagram, you know, I don't even have an Instagram account, although people have mentioned to me numerous times, they're like, you gotta get Instagram, I'm like, for what? You're gonna see me just take a picture like this every fucking day. Ask the people who I have on Snapchat, who I actually go and actually snap like every single day, because I just like got in a rhythm of doing it with a few different people. And I just sit here. This is all you see every single day. I'm like, yo, what's up, dudes? Because I don't go outside and I don't do it. Even if I didn't have my fucked up foot, I probably still wouldn't. So I'm like, okay, well, Instagram, I don't do that. Anyway. But, browsing 4chan was immediately, once I got my first smartphone, browsing 4chan, and also the ability to take videos, because I never had that before. Like, well, actually, that's not true. I do have one video that I took on my old, what do you call it, Sidekick phone, and it's like not even 144p. So really my first ability to record came with that phone. But, I have a problem. I have a fucking problem where I love to just, I don't know, it's wild, it's wild. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have when I was in college, because even when I was in college, it was like, I was fucking addicted to 4chan. Even then, like, I had to go on, I would feel uncomfortable around other people, and it's like this whole symptom of society these days that at first I was talking to somebody about this on Halloween, actually, because I was like, I hate to say that, yes, I am pretty much guilty just like everybody else is. I'm just as guilty as a girl who's wearing a little string bikini and taking pictures of her Chinese takeout, stuck in her tits or whatever. I'm pretty much just as guilty as she is, because I have my computer or my phone or my source of internet, whatever. I mean, shit, growing up, it was like, you'd go to a sports game or you'd go to wherever, you'd be dragged along to a book fair or whatever the case, whatever it was that you didn't want to do, and fuck, you'd imagine like having a smartphone back then and being able to just like go on 4chan or Twitter or whatever and just, get that dose. You're like, oh man, this fucking normies all over the place, man. This fucking, oh man, I don't know anything about this. This is so dumb. This is so boring. And everybody's circle jerking around with the same opinion. Oh man. But I am guilty of this, because it's just like, it's weird, I was never a very social person to begin with, but I can definitely feel the social, atrophy, when you're like, it's like you're kind of sweating almost. You're like, oh, yeah, you're like, in my mind, I'm like, shit, I know I'm kind of being rude. I don't know, man. But I was blessed, though, because I didn't have my phone, and so it was nice. I was able to see my family, many relatives who I do not see very often, especially since I, had moved. And just being able to see people and eat a lot of good food and, just watch a lot of football, because that's what my family and my relatives are all very much into football heavily. And I know that a lot of people who are going to watch this video definitely are not. And, it's a good source of, all, the American Murallards. They're all, they're bred in circuses, their TV programs and everything. Honestly, I've never been a huge sports fan, you know what I mean? I've never been huge into sports. I wouldn't really go out of my way to buy memorabilia or paint my face or anything wild like that, but I've mentioned this before. I like the competition, you know what I mean? Even if there's like, maybe it's botched or rigged or whatever, I just enjoy, the thrill, I enjoy a good, close sports game. I like the thrill of it, But I also did good. I've tried to take lately with the whole soy boy thing going wild. That's huge. That's the new cuck these days. The new male soy boy is going crazy. Everybody's getting called soy boy. Paul Joseph Watson and Thurnovich are going around calling everybody soy boys. But they made a very good point that beer. And I hate to say this because I really enjoy beer quite a bit. And I'm not like, I mentioned this in the history of inebriation video. When I very first turned 21, I was very into craft beer. I wanted to just get into beer culture, and I was for a little while. And even to this day, there's a bar that I do like to go to on occasion that stocks a bunch of micro brews and all this different stuff like that. But with the whole thing about, beer is actually very, very estrogenic, I said, well, you know what? This time around, I did not have a single beer. I had only liquor. I had vodka and I had whiskey, but I had no beer. And I'm going to try and only drink hard liquor from now on, which, that's probably terrible. And I think, well, alcohol, I don't know. All I know is that beer's the worst. And so I'm going to we're taking steps, we're taking one step at a time. Hey, beer's the worst now. Beer makes you a bitch. It gives you a limp dick or whatever, people are talking a lot of shit on it. And of course, I abide my entire moral compass 110% by solely internet memes. So I'm like, well shit, it's whiskey from now on. whiskey. I'm drinking whiskey every single day. I don't do drugs. I don't do cocaine, but I will drink whiskey continuously. It's it's of my people. It's of my noble Ojibwe heritage to be addicted to drinking whiskey. So I'm not going to stop. But I'm going to take a step back here because I was going to talk about Halloween. The first time that I kind of had an old man conversation recently that made me feel like I'm really old was I was talking to a girl who I know. She's 18 years old, fan of my videos. We talk every now and then. And we're talking about Halloween, and I'm like, gosh, you know what? I'm talking to people on the internet, and it's like, oh, we're all corroborating sort of a similar story where it's like, oh shit, Halloween. Nowadays, kids are on their phones, and they, it's like the people don't know each other. People are all trapped in their internet. People are all, I'm sounding like a goddamn Luddite. I don't know, however you pronounce it. Talking about everybody's so in group these days. Everybody's so like, they're so afraid of things, and they're so, whatever, or people aren't having children, or, there's a demographic change going on where your neighborhood maybe isn't as safe as it used to be. Or whatever's going on, And I had mentioned to her that, I had actually gone out trick-or-treating. I went out trick-or-treating 2 years ago. I did on, when I was seeing my ex-girlfriend. She was 18 and she still wanted to go trick-or-treating. She was like, she's like, I'm 18, but I can pass for like 16 and that should be young enough to still trick-or-treat. So she dressed up. I don't even remember what. I was dressed up. I was wearing a mask. So like, I'm sure I probably looked like I was like a foot taller than she was. So I probably was like suspicious anyway, but I actually went and I got candy and I ate candy. I was 23 still. Okay, I was 23. I mean, I guess could be worse, right? I could be going out when I'm fucking 26. Oh, Christ. Wasn't my idea anyway. But, we went to, she had it all mapped out. She was like, all right, well, here's this rich white community and here's this rich white community and, I don't really care where else we go. Let's go there, And so that's just what we did. And it's like, I guess from what I've been told, I guess, she kind of, this chick who I was talking to, she was like, oh, she kind of wagged her finger at me and she was like, oh, you're buying into 4chan memes. It's not like that, but I can't, I lived in an area also at this time, where I was going, like, where you went to go trick or treat, like where I went to go trick or treat, I was living in a neighborhood that was probably like, I would say maybe 70% African where I was living, at the time. I mean, I would say 70 to 75% African. And, there was no trick-or-treating in that neighborhood at all. There was absolutely none. Like, just zero. Like, all the lights were off. The light never even came on. There was no decorations. There was no nothing, And that's what that probably has to do with more it's being Somalian and, they're not like, they have their own culture that doesn't really, do Halloween. So some people are telling me, well, I live in an all Hispanic neighborhood and everybody, but at the same time, when somebody's telling me like that, I see there is like a lot of, a big family aspect with like Hispanic communities that I know anyway in my anecdotal experience, because usually they'll have a big family and they kind of just know each other like that. I don't know. I have something, maybe it's all anecdotal. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm old and I watch too much Fox News and too much Poll or whatever, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I felt, I had my old man moment on Halloween initially. That's like, I just felt it, like, oh, there's disconnection going on. And, it's not the same as it was when I was a kid, Fuck, I'm getting old. It's my old man. I think we've peaked now, My last days of youth were in the summer of 2017. I was 25 years old, but once Halloween came on 2017, I started, I got a couple gray hairs, I got a couple extra wrinkles, and, everything just changed, man. But, on that note, it also, spending time with my family on Thanksgiving, it really drives home to me the whole, I feel very blessed because I have a lot of family, I just have a lot of family and they're all very, for the most part, exception of like a few, they're pretty much all good, decent people and they're very enjoyable to be around and, and I love them all very much. And it pains me because I know that like with every year that passes, and obviously, people still ask me like, oh, are you MGTOW? I'm just gonna say right now, like, I don't want to be for the most part. Like, I've been MGTOW out of certain situations and certain circumstances where I'm like, there's no good women and da 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 whatever, or whatever the case might be. There's reasons that I've had, and there's so many I could probably make a whole video about it, but I don't even want to. But right now, it's just spending time with the family. It's just like, oh fuck, you get those feelings, you get that feeling in your heart and soul because like every single year everybody's getting another year older, and even with me, it's like I have several of my younger cousins and relatives that are they're over 18 but they're younger than me, but they have children and they're getting married and they might be 20, 21, 22, but they're doing it, they are doing what I would have liked. I mean, even back then, shit, I wouldn't if things had gone more easily for me, when I was that age, like shit, I wouldn't be here today, so maybe there's good aspects to it, but there's also, I kind of would have liked to have maybe just been a normal person and just lived a normal life like, like these people are doing, And so I get those kind of feelings when I'm at Thanksgiving and you get that and you're like, oh shit, now, it's a whole another year's gone by and, you're, no more significant other, no more, where's your kid, where's any of that, and when I was working, I've worked very, very many holidays in my retail experience, and it's like, you got these people who are, you just see, I worked retail for, years of holidays, so it'd be like, you'd see somebody the first year I worked, okay, they're like, oh, I'm 23, ha ha ha, I'm young or whatever, and I don't really care. The next year, oh, they're 24, still nothing, maybe when they're 25, 26, they start dating some like, lay atheist, whatever, like so basically some burnout chick, like some no good chick who's never gonna, they're basically like the bug couple, like the bug man and the bug woman, like the guy who's like, oh man, there's like overpopulation and shit, bro, like who cares, dude, I wanna go 420 blaze it, bro, whoa. And then like you got the girl with like the shitty, just like, fat and wears fucking like Star Wars shirts or something and fucking, is like, oh well, how am I supposed to play video games, dude? How am I supposed to play video games, if I don't have kids? Or, if I have kids, how am I supposed to play video games? And, whoa, I'm so lay random. These people, they supplement their children or whatever that they don't have with animals or with toys or whatever, Then they get mad whenever you mention it. You're like, well, shit, I would like to have a life where I can get married and have, with a respectable, decent woman and have a few kids to continue my lineage and be able to have a family, to be able to have a Thanksgiving, in the future and all that. And then I could probably still find time at some point in my life to, keep up, even if I'm at work and I'm reading emails about the new thing that's coming out or whatever I'm interested in. And maybe I could, it's not going to be the sole defining factor of my life. I'm not going to need to abuse prescription drugs or marijuana or alcohol to be able to live with myself when I'm 40 years old and my parents don't talk to me anymore and I've spent the last 20 years of my life talking about fucking Star Wars toys, and my fucking neighborhood doesn't even speak English anymore and I have no idea what's going on in my life and all I can do is just sit around and self-medicate just to keep the voices out of my head. I'm like, I'd rather not that be my life. I would rather, be able to continue, and of course, people are, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to like listen to this and they're all very, in a certain mind state and they're going to be like, oh, you're naive and stupid and the collapse is inevitable and it's all going to burn down and everything's going to die and everybody's going to die, da da da. Okay. I understand that, but, that doesn't mean that I'm like, especially at this time of year, maybe there's a time of the year you could talk to me and maybe I would be more whatever about that, maybe, I don't know, some other time, but when it's like Thanksgiving and you're spending time with people and you're getting that good feeling, I just can't, I see people, I talked about this, what was that, one of the stories I told about work when I was working in the gas station, this lady who, all these cat ladies, they are just gonna go so crazy, they're gonna go so insane that you can't even imagine it because they vote to bring in, refugees and they vote to increase migration, they vote for all this stuff to try and like, they want to donate their, social media manager paycheck to a charity to like feed kids or whatever because that fills this void in their soul where they have nobody in their life and they're fucking miserable. you know. But it doesn't work, you know. These chicks are fucking, they go mental, you know, and they don't have any kids when they're 45 years old and they're all dried up with no kids and no husband. That's the ones that fucking tattoo like kill all men on their face, and they're like the, you know, they say, young incel men are like susceptible to ISIS recruitment. That's like old infertile women are like susceptible to, what do you call it? There's, the kill all men. What's that one? There's an acronym for it that I can't remember right now. But it's just shit. I mean, it's just how I feel. And I think that Black Friday goes kind of hand in hand with this, because for people who I talk to, you know, it was when I was younger, you know, it was different. It was like when I was younger, Black Friday, you know, I feel like it has gotten worse in recent years with people having to work on Thanksgiving and sort of this like slave labor mentality. These corporations are losing money constantly, so they need to figure out, you know, how are we we need more sales and more deals and more things to sell more things and get more money so that our companies aren't going under, because nobody has any money to buy anything anymore. So let's try and max out Black Friday, you know. I mean, shit. Like I said, I worked at Sears for a very short period of time, and it was like if Black Friday isn't good this year, the entire company's going bankrupt next week. So it's like, that's pretty much what it was. And, but, you know, back then it was like, you know, it was, to me, like, my perspective on it was, okay, it's Black Friday, so now is where we're gonna get things for the, you know, that's going out and getting your presents for the family. But now people who I know that are like bug men and bug women, they get the Black Friday deals going on, and they're like, ooh, I'm gonna buy myself a video game, and, well, you know, I'm 30 years old, and I have nothing, and I do nothing, and you know, I have no family, so, well, that's about it. There we go. I got myself a new video game. I don't know, man. It's very bleak. It's a very bleak thing, you know. And the thing is like, yeah, am I myself? Like, I can't really preach on it. I feel preachy about it, and I am going to talk about it, but it's like, myself. I mean, shit. I turn 26 next week. Where am I at? You know what I mean? I'm nowhere. I'm doing what I do, and shit, who knows, you know, 'cause something could pop off. You never know. Hey, you know, maybe I'm doing some better than some other people, maybe, but I'm like, shit, you know, I never in my life, never, ever, ever growing up, you know, even though I knew that I wasn't very, romantically adept and, successful in these realms, I would say at least up to like, you know, before the Black Pill days, you know, maybe like, I'd say let's dial it back like a year before the Black Pill days, I still thought it was very, very unlikely that I would be turning 26 years old and not be in a significant relationship of some kind. I mean, I'm like, how does that even work? You know, I'm like, it's totally, but now it's the norm. You know what I mean? Now it's unless you're, you know, if you're somebody of my, ethnic background and, age and whatever, you know, it's like, shit, everybody's kind of just, you know, we're kind of just giving up. It's like, shit, like there's nothing out there that's worth it anymore. So we're just going to sit around and enjoy what we can while we can, and it's all going to go to hell. There's nothing we can do to save it. And you have people like Varg, who's very, you know, accelerationist, you know, in regards of bleeding the system, so to speak. And the thing is like, I'm not even against bleeding the system like that, you know what I mean? It's for me, it's very, very much about the family, you know? Like, if you don't have family, it's like it's very much like you have nothing, you know? And looking at like, even like street culture and gangs, you know, that's like a lot of what people that's what a lot of gang activity is based around is, you know, you're young and you're growing up in Section 8 housing or whatever, and there's, you know, you don't have a father, and, you know, and you don't have, you know, people need family, you know what I mean? People need to have something, or they fucking, you know, they lose their humanity, you know? They turn into bug men and bug women who drink Soylent and live for Star Wars toys. Or they turn into crazy, radical 48-year-old feminists with no children who want to adopt 40 different refugees and get, you know, have them all, like, murder her in her fucking psychotic virtue-signaling rage. Or you turn into Matt Forney and you go fly over to Thailand and fuck a bunch of hookers and get AIDS and write a book about it where your face is, like, 80% less fat in your cartoon icon. Then you piss yourself. Or, you know, if you do well, then you invested in BTC and you fly your Lambo to the moon and you got unlimited on tap 18 to 20-year-old pussy for life. But I talked about some other shit. Barbarian maxing, you know. if we're facing a societal collapse, I've thought of something in my head, you know, of all the theories, the black pill, just be violent theory, you know, I've come up with barbarian maxing. And what is barbarian maxing? Well, you might have heard a little bit about a guy named Genghis Khan. And see, Genghis Khan, he rode his horse into the village and he killed everybody, and he took all the pussy that he wanted for himself, and he fucking banged all the pussy, and now everybody's Asian, okay? Everybody's Genghis Khan's kid now in everywhere because he just went and barbarian maxed to the max, and he just fucking took all the pussy for himself. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you, you know, I think that's really the life goal of every man. We need to become rich and powerful. Maybe that's what we should do. Like when we're down to like the, you know, when the earth is on the brink of collapse, and we're all gonna sit around and play rock paper scissors like in Kaiji, where they play like the rock paper scissors cards. We're all gonna go around and do that until some guy wins, and then we're all gonna follow him into battle, and we're just gonna go in and just fucking like destroy everything in sight. We're just gonna raise the entire earth and collect all fertile vagina and just like fucking just, you know what, hey, you're the new Genghis Khan, just, hey man, do it up. And hopefully you're not fucking disgusting, and hopefully you don't have a high mutational load. Hopefully you're not like 5 foot tall, multiple sclerosis, balding manlet, you know. Just go and just fucking barbarian max. But even if that's not the case, I still think every guy should be trying to max themselves to be the barbarian that they can be, because when society goes down the tubes and everything's getting more crazy, you know what, hey, maybe we're gonna have to go and storm some villages, and maybe we're gonna have to just, you know, we're just gonna have to ride horses around and throw spears at people and shit. You know, I can see it going down. Mad Max style. So I'm saying barbarian max, and keep it in mind, you know what, it might come up in the future. Societal degradation, cultural degradation, as we all turn into walking Apple billboards. And speaking of that, you know what? I watched a lot of football on Thanksgiving, like I mentioned, and the advertisements are like you would not believe. Like, I saw some fucked up shit. Like, that was like the only thing I really wished I had my phone for, is that I could shitpost on SP and shitpost on Poll, as I'm seeing like all these like super gay commercials with like, there was this one commercial, and I think it was for Apple, which makes sense. And it was like it was, I don't even know where, like France or something, but it was a petite white female and an Arab refugee who had his hairline was like starting back, like, it looked like his hairline was gonna invert. It was like so far down his head, and she was like all fucking smooching on this. It was like a 2-minute long commercial, fucking basically like totally was like cuckold porn. It was really crazy. I'm like, holy shit. And it was like totally not even trying to hide it. Like they're walking on like through this nice European street, and all of a sudden it's like cuts the light to like just them two, and they're just fucking all like basically just getting it on right in the street. I'm like, holy shit. if I just had Poll right now, I could shitpost so hard about this. So yeah, this has basically just been an episode where I'm just going in totally rant mode, which is pretty much what I planned on doing. And I guess the moral of the story is that despite the potential black pill future where the entire earth is doomed, I still really want to have kids, and I want to foster a healthy sense of social ability and community in those children. And I want to kind of teach them, you know, I want them to have at least an idea of what things used to be like. I want to try and foster, you know, for the next generation. Is this going to happen? Probably not. But you know what? Never say never. Never say never, you know. Even if no matter what happens, you know, I'm going to keep the faith, no matter how unlikely it may be. I'm going to keep the faith, my brothers. And I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, you know, even if you didn't, even if you were working and having to wage slave from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. the next day. You know what? I will go and I will keep on fighting for a better future for all of my brothers in arms who view this and who are in a similar mindset to me, where we want to see that good tomorrow. We want to see that good future, where things aren't sick, the society illness of this, you know, where nobody knows each other, nobody trusts each other, you know, downsizing, small, rural, self-sustaining communities, large families. Take the Varg pill, people. We're going to take the Varg pill. For this episode, anyway, like I said, I don't watch all the Varg videos, and there's sometimes I'm not 100% on everything he says. But for right now, in this seasonal feeling that I'm in, you know, cuffing season, some would say, whatever you want to say. I'm feeling Vargpilled right now, so that's just what it is. So y'all have a great weekend. It's this will probably get out in the very, very early hours of Saturday morning. But whenever I see you next time, my friends, until then, take it easy, stay golden, stay beautiful, stay handsome, stay awesome, because I know you will. And we'll see you next time on Egg Wars. Peace out.
Sounds from the void.